Once the house drainage and landscaping work was done by mid-June, it took about 3 months to do all that. I started mid-April, ended mid-June. I think there was 9 trenches altogether. I did the driveway work, and I started capping the gutters with micro mesh steel gutter caps and heat cable, but I stopped that because about mid-June I figured I better get going with the garage first. I knew that would take a while. Um, I decided on the perimeter drain here to do a 12-inch deep drain and the drain immediately around the garage to do a 24-inch deep. The problem was that this is mud. I mean, this is the low spot here. There's a creek right across the street. Um, I'd compromise the slab foundation if I started digging around it. So I had to support the garage somehow before I could even do the drainage. So that I didn't know how hard that would be. It turned out to be ridiculously hard. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos from companies in Texas that support foundations down there, and they dig holes around the foundation and they build cement columns. Some of them pour the column, some drive a steel beam down in there called a helical pier, and some do hydraulically press cement blocks into the earth and then support the slab foundation or the footer foundation that way. I decided to press uh, cement blocks down in the ground. I couldn't find the regular round type that they used in those videos. Like it was a 6 by 12 cylinder, so I had to go with an 8 by 8 by 16 solid concrete block. I'll put a link into the description of this video with a couple of videos from down in Texas to show you how they did it. It's because I'm not gonna. I have a few other videos you'll see in my series here too, so go check out the next number of videos and you'll see some of what I did, but the ones from Texas are a little better. I'm not saying that I'm an awesome video guy by any means. So anyway, so like I said, I needed a 24-inch deep French drain around the garage here, so I had to figure out a way to fix that whole thing. Uh, this level of mud throughout the winter is not uncommon. Um, I watched quite a few videos on how to do this, and I knew that if I started digging right here and went all the way around the garage, it would sink. This is just the mud go. The water table is probably within 3 to 4 inches of the surface here. It varies between 18 inches down and 6 inches down ish, except in the driest of months like July or August. It's a little lower. Um, so what I did is after I got those estimates, the foam guys wanted to drill a bunch of holes here and lift up the slab 2 inches. The helical pier, the steel helical pier guys wanted 35,000 for that, and then the other estimate was to rip this whole thing down, pour in about 3, 4 feet of fill, bring it up to the level of the street here, and build a brand new garage. That was $25,000. Uh, so what I did is I went with what the Texas foundation companies do. Um, where was I? Oh, yeah, I started with one hole to see how it goes. I did that in the back of the garage. I didn't even want people like my neighbors to see what I was doing because it was just so crazy. I figured I had to do 18 holes around the garage. It's a 24 by 34. I did 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and then 5 on each side. And starting the house in mid-April, and I finished in mid-June. I came right down here in mid-June, and I started in with that project. So let's go just through a few of the pictures here. Here's what a typical hole looked like. The edge of the slab foundation is probably 8, 9 inches thick, and the center is about 5 inches thick. That's typical slab. And I dug a hole from this bottom edge about 32 inches down. So I did all the calcs to say my hydraulic bottle jack is so high and the first block is so high, so I needed so much clearance to put that on. So what I'd do is I got other pictures for this, but I'd set a bottle jack here, and I'd put a cement block down there, and I'd start. But digging these was awful. Like from 18 inches and down, I had all clay. So this is about 18 inches down. Everything below that was gray clay, sometimes blue clay. I don't even know what the names are. So, and it would fill with water quick. This is actually after I emptied it. I had to have an old sump pump with a temporary catch sump pit and a shop vac around to keep these holes free. I used plywood to put the dirt on, just so I wouldn't make such a mess. I went to Harbor Freight and I bought about 3 or 4 different normal bottle jacks of various heights, and then I bought this pneumatic bottle jack. This was an incredible labor saver here to sink those blocks into the ground. And I got other videos on sinking the blocks, and I'll have some pictures in this video of how I did it too. Um, Here's my first hole that I did. That's actually finished, and I'll go into more about how I did the other holes. But so I had supplies. I used 4x8x16s. I used 2x8x16s, and I used 8x8x16s. Here's some of the 8x8x16s. These are solid construction blocks. They weigh about 80 pounds a piece. I wish I would have had the 6x12 cylinders. They would have been a lot lighter and a lot easier to get them down in those holes and get them back out if something was wrong. Getting them back out was 80 pounds from 3 feet down in a narrow hole. That was hard. Another pick of a hole here. This is starting to build a this is kind of out of sequence, but I already have some buried under here. Now I'm starting to build a platform where I reach up to the cement and build a support. So here's how I build a support. What you do is you make one support first and get it close, and then use a bottle jack here and lift up the cement to just far enough that you're not going to crack your slab. And I think I did that on one hole. That was really mad. So you lift it up just at the point you think it's not going to crack, and then you shim it with steel plates here. And then you build this one and just pound some steel in there. So here's that hole from the outside. And here's a pic of the shop vac, keeping the hole empty of water. It comes in fast. I have other videos showing just how fast it comes into these holes. This is the clay line. Like so I have dirt here, and from 18 inches and down, it's all clay. Here's a pic of the pneumatic bottle jack. So I set the first block down, and then you just crank this guy. You keep cranking and cranking and cranking, and you keep putting block after block after block into the ground until they stop going. And there's too much resistance or force raising your garage up. And I only let it go up about 3/4 of an inch max. And the 1 or 2 holes that I let it go up too far, I was a little too aggressive. I cracked it. So what are you gonna do? Live and learn. Here's a picture of a block buried into the ground. And most holes I would bury between 2 and 3 of these. So each block was 16 inches high with about 32 inches to go here. So I literally have 5 to 7 foot columns of cement in 18 holes around this garage now. Um, Pick a getting ready to put one of those blocks down in there. And then the last few blocks go sideways and you're building the columns here. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the comments and then I'll answer. But the videos after this and then the links I put to the foundation companies from Texas should pretty much show you how this is done. So I had to cut out I had to cut little pieces here for the 2 support columns. So I used a pneumatic chisel to cut all these guys out from bigger blocks. Using a shovel to get the thing straight. Here's a manual jack. This is one of the first few holes, and I didn't have all my techniques figured out, so I was using a manual jack for some of the sinking. That was a pain. And after a while, I figured out how to do the whole thing with the automatic jack. And I have videos of that Harbor Freight automatic jack working. Here's a pic of the side of the garage. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes, and I'm starting to build in supports to all of them. I didn't use anything automated here to dig the holes. They were just too close to the garage, and they had to be too narrow. I didn't want to dig out any more dirt than I had to. The only thing I used on occasion was my 6-inch post hole auger, and that's a 2 horsepower gas thing. Another pic is the front of the garage, working on the support there. Some of the supplies anyway. So here's another picture of my 8x8 by 16s. Couple just yeah, I'm starting to fill it in. So I didn't put any dirt or clay back in these holes. I didn't. That stuff was just crazy gooey, so I just put paver base back in the holes as much as I could. Uh, on a few videos from French Drain Man, I saw him use a vacuum excavator, or at least he referred to using a vacuum excavator. So I looked up renting one. It's like, holy balls, that was super expensive. And keeping these holes empty of water was a chore as you're digging. It was a lot of work digging through clay that kept filling up with water on you. So I tried making my own vacuum excavator. What I did is I made a cover for a wheelbarrow, and I had 2 holes where I hooked up 2 shop vacs, and I pulled the suction through those 2. And then I had a hose that went down in here, and then I used a gas power sprayer to a pressure washer to break up the dirt and suck it in. But I did it for 1 hole, and it was actually really fast. It worked really nice. It's just it made this pea soup clay here, and after that it's kind of like a wash as far as clean up and set up versus the time to dig it by hand. It was so I kind of used it sparingly. It worked okay. Here's a video of the setup of my vacuum excavator, 2 shop vacs providing suction. The wheelbarrow is the catch basin basically, and then another section of 2¼ inch shop vac hose with the pressure sprayer here, and that breaks up the clay. And you just keep digging with the pressure sprayer basically while sucking it out with this. It was actually pretty damn quick. It was faster than manual digging, but like I said, is the setup and the takedown and the cleanup kind of erased your time savings a little bit. So um, by a couple weeks or beginning of July, it started getting pretty dang hot. So I had to use the canopy and the fan to keep cool as I dug the holes. Here's my temporary sump pit. I just took a cat litter bucket, drilled some holes. I put an old sump pump in there with a flex hose, and that's how I drained out the holes every morning. Every morning I get out there and the dumb things would be full again. So, um, yeah, more shots of the holes there. Back of the garage, more holes, more holes. This is my pile of gooey clay. That stuff was just ridiculously gooey. Uh, yeah, getting back in here. Sorry. I wonder if that's the end. Oh, so that's the end. See the other videos for the the hydraulic jack in action. I also have shots of the springs filling up the holes, and I have shots of emptying the holes with the pump. So thanks for watching.